Have you ever looked at an old object in your home, a piece of furniture from your grandmother, a stack of letters in the attic, or a painting that's hung on the wall for as long as you can remember, and wondered about its story? We live with these silent witnesses to our family's past, their presence so familiar they almost become invisible. But every so often, one of these quiet heirlooms holds a secret so profound it can take your breath away. It's a story not just of history, but of a value far beyond what any price tag could ever capture. This is the magic that unfolds under the bright lights of shows like Antiques Roadshow. People arrive with hope in their hearts and a dusty item in their hands, seeking answers. They come for a number, a valuation, but more often than not, they leave with something infinitely more precious, a deeper connection to their own story. For one guest, a simple painting he had cherished since boyhood turned out to be the key to a forgotten legacy, forcing a beautiful and heartwarming decision between a life-changing fortune and a priceless memory. The man who approached appraiser Colleen Fesco carried more than just a canvas. He carried a piece of his identity. The painting, a soft, ethereal scene, had been a constant in his life. Since the tender age of 16, it had hung above his bed, the first thing he saw in the morning and the last thing he saw at night. It was a silent guardian through teenage angst, late-night studies, and youthful dreams. It wasn't just decoration, it was a fixture of his world, a tangible link to the man he'd loved and admired, his grandfather. He knew his grandfather was a talented artist, but like many families, the full scope of that talent had been softened by time and familiarity. Yeah, he considered his murals much more important than his easel paintings like this, the guest shared, a hint of fondness in his voice. But I was much more enamored by these paintings than the murals. It was a personal connection, a private appreciation for his grandfather's more intimate work, far from the grand public commissions. He knew the painting was special to him, but he was about to discover just how special it was to the world. As Fesco began to speak, the story began to bloom. The artist was Henry Siddons Mowbray. The name alone carried weight. Your grandfather was a really interesting artist, she began, her expert eyes dancing over the canvas. But this is just such a luscious painting. The details she shared painted a picture of a man at the center of a revolutionary period in American art. Mowbray wasn't just a local painter, he was a cosmopolitan figure, born in Alexandria, Egypt, in 1858, and later trained in the artistic heart of the world, Paris. He lived and worked during the American Renaissance, a period at the turn of the 20th century when the United States, flush with Gilded Age wealth, was forging its own cultural identity. This wasn't just a history lesson, it was the story of the guest's own bloodline. Fesco connected the dots with captivating clarity. Mowbray was great friends with giants of the era, men whose names are etched into the very fabric of American history. The renowned sculptor Augustus St. Gaudens and the legendary architectural firm of McKim, Mead, and White. This was the firm that built the opulent mansions of Newport and New York for titans like the Vanderbilts, and who was commissioned to fill these palaces with breathtaking art, the guest's grandfather. He was part of a movement, designing and painting murals and interiors that would define an age of unprecedented elegance. The painting in question, created around 1895, was a perfect embodiment of this era. Fesco pointed to its classical themes, drawing inspiration from ancient Roman and Greek beauty, a hallmark of the Renaissance style. A beautiful palette, she mused. We have the roses, the pastel colors of the figures, a great aesthetic accomplishment in the easel format. It's just a terrific example of the painting and of the period. The guest listened, his expression a mixture of pride and awe. The painting that had watched over him for decades was not just a family keepsake. It was a museum-quality masterpiece, a portal to a bygone era of American splendor, created by a man who had walked with giants. The personal and the historical were merging before his very eyes. The air grew thick with anticipation. The story was told, the context was set. Only one question remained. Then came the moment of the big reveal. Fesco looked at the guest, a warm smile on her face, and delivered the valuation. At auction, she estimated the painting would likely sell for between $50,000 and $75,000. A stunned silence fell. The guest's eyes widened, his breath catching in his throat. A simple, explosive wow was all he could manage. You could almost see the possibilities flash through his mind, a sum of money that could pay off a mortgage, fund a child's education,